imagine? I'm sure you can. What's the connection between the pictures? It is the amazing field of biomimetics, which we are going to present to you over the next 15 minutes.
To do that, we're going to show you everything we've done the last 10 days. So let's start with our extraordinary experiment of landing egg birds and extra as well of landing.
Now I will explain you the top-down design. First, you have a technical problem. Then you search for biological analogies and look how nature solves this problem. In the third step, you identify the appropriate principle, and in the next step, you detach those principles from the biological model. In the fifth step, you test the feasibility, build a prototype, test this prototype, look for problems, evaluate your prototype, and begin testing again. And if all works well, you have a biomimetic product.
The excellent project. Step 1, technical problem. Our challenge was to land an egg called Eggbird safely as far as possible away from a danger zone, and it even had to glide for a long time. Step 2 and 3. Look for biological analogies and identify them. Our first inspiration was the wing of the albatross. The albatross can glide through the air for a very long time. The next inspiration was the dandelion seed. The seed can travel long distances and land safely. An owl has special winglets for a controlled slow flight. Our final inspiration was the beech nut. On the surface were many pricklets which protect the seeds.
In step 4, we transferred the principles to our model. So we used the winglets of the albatross and the winglets from the owl for slowly and controlled gliding. We even made a parachute, like the dandelions, for slow falling. Then we used mouse stairs, like pricklets of the beech nut, for suspension. For our model, we used paper, wooden sticks, plastic bags, plastic cup, strings, straw, and sellotape. Then, in step 5, we made a first test from the first step. Our egg survived. But we had to make some improvements because our construction had to be more stable and we had to put more glue on the mouse stairs. These improvements then led to our final model. We threw from a roof. There, our construction worked, and the egg was safe.
A second group got inspired by a maple seed, a sea urchin, and insect legs. The flying construction was inspired by the maple seed. It stops the flight down softly by rotating the vehicle. For a soft landing, we used the spikes of a sea urchin, because in this way we could prevent an overturn of construction. At last, the insect legs absorbed the power of impact. Unfortunately, the photos of our model got lost by mistake. Thank you.
Now you've seen how the top-down process works, and our next project was to understand the bottom-up design.
When we started the project Inspire Yourself, we first had to look for things in nature that we found interesting. For instance, specially shaped branches or leaves with a nice structure, like over there. Afterwards, we had to analyze these things to get to know about their features. For this, we used a scientific diagram, which is actually a sketch with lots of patches around it. Here is an example for that, and it shows an acorn. So that's what it is. And to use the features that we discovered by using this diagram, we had to transfer it into an idea that we could use. So we could finally build a model out of it. Here at the bottom is the model of the bridge that we had built, and it's inspired by branches.
We approached the challenge with the method of bottom-up design. Bottom-up design is one of the most important principles in biomimetics, so I will explain it in more detail. First, you go in nature and do biological research. When you find biological research, it's just like a wow effect. You You want to know more about that animal or plant, and so you study and observe it in the next step. You look at the biomechanics, the functional morphology, and the anatomies to understand the principles. In the third step, you use the properties of your inspiration and transfer them to technology. This is an attachment from a biological model where the abstraction of principles is really important. Then you buy the model, which is called prototype. You test it and evaluate it, and after some improvements, you have a biometric product inspired by nature.
So I'm going to start by telling you something about the biomimetic approach I took. First, we looked for the biological input, as you've just seen, the wow effect. We found a lot of inspiring plants in nature and decided to focus on the pinecone and the corncop more closely. So we studied and described their surfaces, shapes and functions in a lot of detail. Because we were interested in the movable and extraordinary shape of the pinecone, we tried to transfer it first of all to a paper model. We all built a model, and because one of our group came up with the idea of building an extendable one, we took this to the prototype stage. After testing and evaluating, we finally had to look for applications. We thought of a multifunctional light, which could be used as a flashlight, but also extended and opened up as a glimmer or wall lamp. And you can see it.
Okay, in our group we were inspired by grass because it's light, stable and elastic. The reason why it has properties like that is hidden in the structure. Grass is hollow and consists of many light layers, which are ordered on top of each other. To transfer the principle to technology, we've chosen straws and ordered them after the structure of grass by cutting them lengthways and sticking them on top of each other. So the copied blade of grass consists of many layers and gets light, elastic and stable like real grass. Imagine you can use this natural model in very high skyscrapers and towers. Buildings would resist earthquakes and storms because of its light, stable and elastic structure. Thank you.
And the next project was a decision whether to use top-down or bottom-up process to cover the longest distance with the bio-inspired design.
So, our challenge in this project was to design and construct a structure that would cover the greatest distance possible in groups of 3. It had to touch the ground on only 2 points, and in this picture here, you can see the materials which we were allowed to use. And you can also see that this isn't very much, and this made our challenge even harder. We had 4 hours time to do this, and these 4 hours we used to first find a good inspiration. Then we asked ourselves, how could we use this for our problem? And in the last step, we tried to build a model which was long, stable, and also flexible.
First, we had no idea what to do, but finally, first inspirations came up. And the first one is the red currant branch. It's yellow bark, which you can see in the background. It's very stable, and it's inside the branch there's a dark substitute. Grass is, as Moritz already explained, long, stable and flexible, and thus very useful for our projects. Branches in general get thinner to the tips and are flexible, another advantage for our projects. Roots act as anchors for trees. We also had to make efficient root anchors, and so we imitated the roots. And we also used iron.
We researched in nature for a long time, but also in books and on the internet. Then we finally got to the abstraction. Straws with spaghetti and macaroni were used to imitate the red currant. To build a blade of brass, a group used straws without filling. Tripods to stabilize the prop was the result of the inspiration route.